Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to another episode of Geeks Watch. Today, I would like to talk about Rebel Moon on Netflix. So I don't have a clever little thing I can show you here. The image is just on the screen behind me. Rebel Moon is the story of it's a sci-fi space opera. The main character is a young woman named Cora. I think she's supposed to be a young woman. I think she's supposed to be, I don't know how old she's supposed to be. She's not quite young, but not quite, I don't know. Late 20s, I guess she's supposed to be, maybe early 30s. Who the hell knows? But, youngish woman living on a planet as a farmer. The Rebel Imperium shows, not the Rebel, the Imperial Army shows up, demands food, kills the leader of the village, demands that the farmers give them like 90% of all the grain they grow in the next, whatever time. And then, Cora decides to go out and find some warriors to help defend the village. I don't need to tell you too much more than that, because this is basically, the basic plot of this film is Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. And if you're not familiar with Seven Samurai, they made a Western out of it. The Magnificent Seven, I think it was called. I probably should know that better. I knew it. It just kind of flew out of my head because I'm old and I'm getting forgetful. But yeah, this is basically Seven Samurai set in space. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think it was well executed. I mean, I think the characters are interesting. I think that the world that was created here, that the lore is actually interesting. There's something here. I just think it was poorly executed. As we're gathering the warriors to help defend the village, I think some of their introductions are interesting, but also kind of half-baked. They're more visually impressive than serving the plot or telling us enough about the characters. I mean, they do tell us something about the characters that we're interacting with. There's like an old disgraced general. There's a cyborg female warrior, so on and so forth. A fallen prince who's enslaved, has to free him. There's some interesting stuff here. It's just, what's the best way I can think of to describe it? Oh, the thing that kept coming back to me. There's a scene in Ted. If you're familiar with the film, the show, Ted Lasso. The head of the football league calls in one of her coaches and tells him to his face, it's like, this whole thing you've got going on is just ponderous and it's tiring. Cut it out. Get out of your own way, man. And that's what I feel like telling Zack Snyder. It's like, dude, it's ponderous. Get over yourself and just make a decent movie. There's like the opening monologue, which gives you backstory and world building. It's just too long. There's one like cut scene where the character's telling like some backstory stuff, some plot exposition, and it just drags on for so long. It's like 3 or 4 minutes long, which may not seem like much, but in the course of a film, it's like, this is just backstory, dude. They've got some heavy hitters in the film. You've got Carrie Oles, Charlie Homnan, the guy who was in Sons of Anarchy. He's a great actor. John Soo, whatever his last name is, I can't pronounce his name properly. They've got some decent actors here. The actress who plays Cora is good. I don't fault them at all. It's the script and the directing. I start to like these characters, and then the beats just fall flat, and you're pulled out of the film. I start getting invested, and then this scene goes on too long. It becomes boring. It just, the story is basically like cobbled together elements of other stories, which is not in itself bad. I can name other films which have done the same thing but have done it masterfully. This is just sloppy and so full of yourself as a director and writer that you just think you can do it this would have been better as like a 5-episode miniseries on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever. I think it would have worked better with that than trying to do it as a 2-hour movie, because this is actually a 4-hour movie that's been broken up into 2 parts. There is a sequel called, Rebel Moon 2 Scar Giver. This has another name I just don't care to bother to look up. I did like this film, but it's B- material. It really is. For the amount of money and production value and the actors you had in this who did such a good job, the villain is 2-dimensional when he could be so much more. The cinematography is decent, if some overuse of slow motion. The set design, that's another thing too. It's inconsistent. Some of the set design is just gorgeous. They did set, the settings are done so well. They're shot in a very cinematic way. And then some of it looks like a cheap TV set. I mean, not cheap TV set, but like a cheap TV studio set. Like, it's about the quality you'd see on like a sitcom. Some of the CGI effects are just so obvious and cheesy. I mean, I hate giving reviews like this because I know a lot of people worked hard on it. Kind of like my review of The Wheel of Time that I did, because it was obviously that so many people worked so hard on it to have it fall so flat. And it's the same with this. And I entirely blame Zack Snyder, because he wrote and directed this. This is all his fault. And no one else's. This entirely lays on his shoulders. The script is his, the direction is his, the editing is his. This is all his fault. This could have been a great movie. And it's B- material, dude. I hate this. I mean, I enjoyed it. I did. It was entertaining to watch. Because it was, but I mean, I thought that there were the inconsistencies and the poor directing choices and the poor script choices just kind of pulled me out of it too much. I would just go, really? We're still going? Just end the scene. Cut it. We're done. We know what's going on. You could have explained this in 2 sentences and been done with it. The whole, the show not tell thing is important. There's a time and a place for voiceovers. I think back to Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, where the theatrical release had a certain opening in the dialogue that Galadriel tells, and then they did the extended editions, and they drew out that opening, and in my opinion, it was actually worse. The concise opening of the theatrical release of the Fellowship of the Ring was better than the extended cut that added a minute and a half to it. It was much better as that smaller, efficient piece. Know when to cut. know when to condense your scenes and not draw them out for too long. Know when to use slow motion and when not to. And when to not have it take up so much of your time. Which, considering Zack Snyder also directed 300 and Watchmen, which have massive amounts of slow-mo in them. I like both of those films too. And I think they're better than Rebel Moon, unfortunately. I think if you enjoy this type of sci-fi action film, you would enjoy this, but go into it knowing that it's not Snyder's best work. And please don't blame any of the actors for this. If you don't like it, if you have the same criticisms that I do, blame Zack Snyder, please. For the love of all that is holy, someone throttle him and teach him how to direct movies better. Obviously, he knows better than I do. I'm not a director, but I've watched enough movies to at least recognize certain elements. Or at least I try to. So, as always, thanks for watching. If you like my crap, why in the world would you like my crap? It's crap. Watch my other crap. And until next time, good hunting.